All right, friends. Tomorrow evening, we're going to see it. We're going to see something. Hopefully, we get a landslide victory. All the polls seem to be indicating that. All of the conversations that we seem to be having out there point to one very thing, and this is that there are a few crazy people who are voting one way, and everyone else is voting the other way. So, hopefully, we see a landslide. But if we don't, if we see shenanigans and it makes things go the other direction, it's going to be pretty freaking obvious, I think. But either way, it's going to be time for us to flip the table. Just imagine that table full of food. Imagine the poker table or whatever, and the person just flips out and flips that table. That's what we're going to have to do, friends. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and I am finishing up here in Portugal. In fact, I am on a flight right now. And if it doesn't look like I'm on a flight, the magic of scheduling. So let's talk about this, because we're going to be thinking about this very shortly, if you're not already thinking about this. Steve, what do we do? What do we do? How do we respond? And this is my take on it. And none of these are recommendations. These are my spitballing, my thoughts. Please let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Of course, remember that you're always being watched, right? So let's have a conversation without going too far with anything. But let's, if Trump wins and it looks like it's going to be a landslide, if they just realize that it's over and they decide not to drag this thing out and turn this thing in, because they know they're going to lose anyway, and they're just not going to really make a big show of it. If that happens and we find out relatively quickly that that's where we are, well, step 2 is actually using that influence, that power that has been gotten to actually affect change. We need to help Donald Trump when he gets to Washington, D.C., to flip those tables. Because the tables of corruption, the tables of wheeling and dealing, the tables of all this money that's flowing around in circles needs to stop. We need this giant 800-pound gorilla off our backs. The economy needs it, and it's gonna be a fight. It's gonna be an absolute bare knuckle fight. These agencies, these departments, these bureaucrats, these lobbyists, all these people make so much money, and they're not going to want to allow this to happen. So he's going to need all the support he can get. So that energy that we have right now, we're going to have to actually just kind of keep it going. We're going to have to keep those rallies going. We're going to have to get those marches down to Washington, D.C. We're going to have to really put the pressure on, and we're going to have to suffer some setbacks, because that's going to happen. Last time around, we had a whole bunch of setbacks, but we need to keep pressing forward. All right. That's the good news. That's the rosy picture, right? That Trump wins in a landslide, or at least it's very clear relatively quickly, and boom, okay. That's the legitimate picture. Then we have two other options, really. One, this turns into a muddle. Nobody knows who won because of the shenanigans and the movements and the truckloads of stuff coming in from who knows where, the unobserved boxes, we're already hearing a bunch of this already, right? If that gets us to the point where they can actually fight it out in the courts, we got to keep going. We got to keep moving forward. We got to keep campaigning, so to speak, right? We need to keep pressuring. We need to keep giving. We need to be thinking about giving to legal funds. We need to be thinking about doing marches, doing rallies, all this kind of stuff. Because as discouraging as it's going to be, we still need to win. Option 3. They look us in our big, beautiful eyes and tell us that, I need that paper still. They look us in our eyes and tell us right to our faces, Trump lost. I think that magically suspicious cacophony of things that they've done, I think we're all going to know exactly what just happened. That they rigged, and now they're trying to sell it to us. And friends, I don't like people selling me stuff. If you want to provide me information and allow me to have the choice, that's different than somebody selling me something, right? When I'm like, I don't think I need this, I don't think I want this, this isn't in my budget. And they're like, you need to think real hard about this. You need to, and they start using all the arm twisting tactics. And we're going to recognize those tactics as the media goes to town on us. I've traveled to 60 plus countries. I don't even remember how many I'm at now. I was at 50. I hit 50, and then this trip was like another 12 or something like that, or 11. I don't know. 60-ish countries. I've been to or near conflict zones a bunch of times. I've been to a lot of former conflict zones, and I promise you that I understand how peace is a precious thing. Peace is a truly precious thing. I've seen people who have come out of conflicts. I've seen people who are thinking about going back into conflict. Lived in a place that was very, very dangerous, and people were talking like that. And it was just like, I could see from the outside that their lives were getting better, noticeably better, because they were at peace. And it was just like, no, don't do that. Like, I know that you're upset. I get that you're angry, but don't go down that road. Peace is a precious thing, but freedom is something that could be more precious. But I mean, we have to ask ourselves the question, are we going to use the freedom? I mean, if we're not going to use the freedom, then maybe we shouldn't fight for it. But if we are going to use the freedom for good and just causes, perhaps we need to flip the table. And by that, I mean correct the things that need to be corrected. Now, how in the world would we even do that? First off, don't. Direct conflict is a really bad idea. Really bad idea. Because I promise you that's what they want. Why do you think our military was in Afghanistan for 20 years? And if you're like, well, they were trying to bring peace and democracy. Grow up. They were practicing. They were practicing counterinsurgency. Our military, could we fight a stand-up war against Russia, a stand-up war against China? Probably. But what our military is geared for is counterinsurgency. So, if you want to go out there and start an insurgency, friends, that's exactly what they are prepared for, that's exactly what they're ready for, and that's exactly what they expect from you. And I think that's what they want. It will justify so many things. But Steve, you're saying we should just lay down and no, and yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Some of the most powerful movements in the world began as people laying down, so to speak. They say, I'm not going to go to work. I'm going to park my truck here and I'm going to leave. I know it's blocking lanes of the freeway, but I'm just going to park my truck here and I'm just going to leave. And someone else can figure out how to move it. If you have enough people that just kind of lay down, if there's a system that's in front of you that you know, or it's a computer system, power grid, whatever, and you just decide to tweak a few things and then walk away. I'd say that people in this audience combined could bring a lot of things to a standstill. And I'm not talking about openly doing anything that's going to hurt anybody, but I'm talking about just stopping the system, like a nationwide strike. We've seen that happen in other countries, and we've seen it be very effective, where people just decide not to participate anymore. If this system is rigged, I don't want to participate in this system anymore. Good luck running it without me. Good luck running it without all the other 80 to 100 million Americans who voted the other way. If we all just don't participate, we know a few things. Well, people who voted to the left, the leftists, tend to be in cities where they don't grow food. People to the right tend to be in smaller communities, suburbs, places where they either grow food or they can get to some place where food is grown. People on the right, conservative, libertarian folks, tend to be a little more prepper and prepared than the people inside the cities. People inside the cities are, having 1 or 2 days of food in their house at a time. They just stop by the grocery store every day on the way home from work, or in a lot of cases, they don't even have a job in the first place. So they're actively out there campaigning so they can get more free stuff. They're not prepared for the trucks to stop moving. They're not prepared for the food to not show up at the grocery store. You can have all this food stamps that you have, but they won't do you any good if there's no food on the shelves. It really would not take all that much for this country to grind to a halt. And that is where I would say we would need to start. And I think you would hear calls relatively quickly for that. A nationwide strike. Everyone just stop. Just stop and bring the system to a halt. Until this gets fixed, we're not going to play anymore. And I think, what do you do then? Do you arrest people that don't show up at work? How do you crack down on all these people, especially when a whole bunch of the police are also taking a break? When you just let these heckholes, I don't like using those words, but how else do you describe them? These places, these cities that are absolutely falling apart. They cannot keep their infrastructure going. The only thing keeping them going is influxes of cash from the outside. And all the hard work of the people in the suburbs and the outer regions feeding into these black holes. When the people outside the cities just say, you know what, I'm done. I'm not gonna help you. I'm not gonna help you. You put all that stuff. When we do to the store shelves what they just did to those ballot boxes, now we can have a conversation. If you want to play all those shenanigans there, we're going to play some shenanigans on your store shelves. And let's see who really won. Let's see who won this little conflict between us. That's my recommendation. critical systems, letting them break or breaking them. Don't go to work, especially if you're in a critical service, if you're working for the power company, if you're working for the police. These are things where you just call in sick and everybody just calls in sick. And we have a nationwide strike. And we let them know how we all have votes in this country, but some of us actually keep the country going. Some people don't, okay? And let's be clear. I think, and I am highly suspicious of the fact that the people that make this country go are voting for Trump. The people that don't make anything, that don't make this thing go, are voting for the other way. And then we're not even talking about the many, 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 many people who don't actually exist. Believe me, I'm going to be doing my best when this cracks to connect with people who have data and get that data to you. We're gonna try to do whatever we can to get the data and get it to you so that you can help disseminate that. And I realize that may mean that my time here on this platform may be numbered. We may be using alternative channels, other platforms to disseminate stuff, but you need to be paying attention. We're going to try to be doing the best we can right here, and you need to be doing the best you can where you are. Get creative, get thinking. What can you do that doesn't break the law, that will bring things to a halt? A lot of you guys work in some jobs where that's not going to be all that hard to think up. Others of you, maybe not so easy. But be thinking of all the little ways that you can do things that will just show that you are not going to go along with this. Maybe you need to put up a few more signs. Maybe you need to put up a few more flags. Maybe you need to go around and, use a crosswalk. Hey, if you walk across the crosswalk in a lot of states, traffic has to stop. You just get them walk back and forth. I mean, technically, wouldn't the traffic have to stop? And you'd be legally not breaking the law, especially if you organize with some other people who just happen to all be walking across the street at the same time. Back and forth, back and forth. And hey, look, it's legal. What do you need to do? What will we need to do? And I think the most important thing is we need to show everyone else around us that we will not comply. Think through that one, friends. Let's not jump to anything that's going to give them the excuses that they want to make sure that we don't ever get another chance to choose. Okay? Step one, protests. Protests and strikes, lots of them. That's stage one. Let's think along those lines. If we need to go there, we'll talk about it, and we will also be trying to expose as much truth as possible. And we're going to be working together here on that, and I'm going to be doing stuff as best I can to do that as well. You may see me on the road. I won't be in Portugal anymore, but I will be in the United States going where I need to in order to gather information for you guys. All right, friends, if you guys have further information to pass along, please let me know, of course. Thanks so much for all of you being a part of this community. And if you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. And the next video you should see should be me sitting in my studio or maybe outside the polling place. Let's just see what happens. All right, friends, thanks so much for watching. Steve Poplar of The Poplar Report out.